Nut Brown, and I'm going to be talking now with Susan Cookson, who plays Sylvie Starr in our film version of The Three Little Pigs. This is part of the ESRC event, telling stories to young children in everyday life. So welcome, Susan. Thanks for joining me this afternoon.
Absolute pleasure.
Susan, your character, Sylvie Starr, tells stories to children wherever she finds them, about things that interest them, the places that they visit. Can you tell me what it was like playing Sylvie and conveying her love of storytelling?
It was an absolute delight to play Sylvie. She's a lovely character. And I think my overall feeling was for the character was to embody my memories of storytelling, either from my mum and dad, or as I became a parent and telling stories to my children. So that real sort of love of being lost in a story with somebody, you know, that you can interact and share that moment. That was what I wanted to kind of embody with Sylvie, and I'm hoping that's what came across.
It does indeed. You talked about being a mother and as a child having stories told to you. We know from research that children who listen to stories told to them, traditional tales of all cultures, made up stories, are really important in terms of preparing them at the beginning of learning to read. But our research has shown that many adults seem to prefer to read from a book rather than tell stories. And do you think that anyone can tell stories? Sometimes some parents don't feel confident making up a story, for example. Where do you think they should start?
I do think that everybody can tell stories, and I think a lot of it is down to a self-belief and a self-confidence that you can do it. If you tell yourself you can't do something, then you're on a slight hide into nothing. But if you think everyday life where we interact and we talk to people, and we will be at some point, at least once in a day, we'll be recounting something that's happened to us, and that is a form of storytelling. My job as an actor has always been to tell stories, and the reason I've enjoyed my career so much is because when you involve people, when you draw people in and see how they respond, and everybody's reaction will be different to the story, that's what makes it so exciting. But I think we all have the ability to tell stories, and they can be as simple or as complex, but it's that connection between you and the person that you're engaging with the story that's so magical. But the story can be really very, very simple.
And for little children, that story made up and very simple can be something that they ask for again and again. Tell me the one about. Oh, yeah. And stories are that are about the children themselves, their everyday life, the day they were born, when the car broke down, everyday events woven into a story for children. They really mean something to them. And because parents know their children so well, they can bring in their own names, their age, their date, their birthday, things that have happened to them, the family, pets, and so on. And it makes the story much more personal and meaningful.
Absolutely. And the child that you're involving in that story will almost immediately be involved. They will be engaged. They will want to know how this is going to pan out. And it can be whatever you want it to be. But if the initial telling of the story, including that child in something, it can be your journey to, the journey to school, something that child can immediately relate to and is immediately involved in. And then from there, you can take it to wherever you want it to go. And obviously including the child, getting the child to make suggestions about, well, the trip to school is this, this, and this, but what if we went down that path? I mean, it can go anywhere you want it to go.
Yeah, so maybe beginning by saying, what do you want this story to be about? And who's in it? story and what happened, what was the weather like, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Finally, Susan, we used puppets in the film to encourage children to act out stories, and using puppets too. What was it like acting with a puppet and then voicing the other puppets in the story to tell the story? How did you decide on the accents to use, and the idea of voicing puppets and also having a co-actor who was a puppet?
Initially, I mean, it's absolutely new to me. I've never worked in that field before, so again, it was a really exciting challenge. Beth was an amazing puppeteer. She really did bring the children puppets to life. They were, so it was actually very easy to talk to them and interact because their movements were so lifelike. But it was quite exciting, really, to be faced with, I guess, an initial challenge. It wasn't daunting, because the whole essence of it is about storytelling and, well, how are we going to make this work? And it just did. And I do think a lot of that was down to Beth's skill as a puppeteer. But I thought it was really great fun. And then the voices for the puppets in the story, I guess the Three Little Pigs for me is such a familiar story, and one that I remember from my childhood. I remember the trips to the local sweet shop where they sold the Ladybird books. And each week me and my mum would go and get one when I was really quite small, sort of 5, 6. And that excitement of getting a new story each week. But the Three Little Pigs was very familiar. And I guess if you're slightly familiar with the story, and you can set it wherever you want. So I set it in the north, which is where I'm from and I'm familiar with. So in terms of the accents, and then each character has his own little trait, really. And I guess I was attaching the materials that they were using. That kind of helped me to formulate the tone of their voice. And then, of course, the wolf, well, he kind of, we're going to go there for the wolf. So, yeah, it's just, again, it's using things that you know. You can even, it might even be people within your family or friends that you know, that if they have a little quirk to their voice or something like that, you might want to attach that to your characters. You don't have to, but I think that's from an actor's point of view, that's kind of where I went with it.
And you made the pigs quite assertive, didn't you? You ensured that those pigs weren't going to be beaten by enough.
No, we weren't going down that path. They were going to come out good. The pigs were going to win in the
end. Susan, thank you so much for joining me to talk about Sylvia Starr and the Three Little Pigs as part of telling stories to young children in everyday life. And let's say to parents, have a go. If you don't, have a go. You can do it.
Absolutely, have a go and enjoy it. Enjoy that time with your children. It's so precious, and they are fond memories for me. The time that I spent with my mum, just listening to really simple stories. But you know, time is a very precious commodity, and we can do it. We can all tell a story. Just the fun of having a go. Don't be daunted by it. Just have a go and enjoy it.
Thanks, Susan. Good to talk to you. Bye then.
And Kathy, thank you.
Bye.
Bye.